All right. Today, we're going to talk about something that's quietly causing a lot of pain for U.S. accounting firms. It's this hidden efficiency gap, and it's making it feel almost impossible to keep up.
So, does this sound familiar? You're feeling the pressure, right? Deadlines are just getting tighter, the workload is heavier, and somehow the margins are getting thinner. If you're sitting there nodding, trust me, you are definitely not alone.
And that feeling, it's not just in your head. There's a real operational gap growing in U.S. accounting firms. What that means is the amount of work coming in is just way more than firms can handle. And that gap, it's getting wider and wider every single season. Okay, so here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll look at this efficiency gap and figure out why U.S. firms are struggling so much. Then, we'll talk about a solution, the offshore advantage in India. We'll see what that looks like day to day, cover the big questions around quality and security, and then wrap up by looking at how this all leads to a much smarter way of working. Yeah, at its core, this is all about rethinking where and how the work actually gets done. But before you can find the right solution, you have to really understand the problem. And what U.S. firms are up against right now, well, it's pretty much a perfect storm of workload challenges. It really comes down to a few key things that are all connected. First, the talent pool is shrinking. It's just harder to find good people. At the same time, regulations and what clients are demanding are getting way more complex. So naturally, the cost of hiring goes up. Put it all together, and what do you get? Widespread staff burnout. It's a vicious cycle where each problem just makes the others worse. So, stuck in this cycle, firms have had to look for a smarter way out. And a lot of them are discovering a huge strategic advantage by tapping into the incredible accounting talent in India. For years, the go-to solution was just more overtime. Throw more hours at the problem. But we all know that's just a Band-Aid, right? It's a short-term fix that always ends in burnout. The real solution isn't about working longer. It's about working smarter. And the secret is leveraging a new time zone. Think about it. This one simple shift creates a real 24-hour work cycle. Your team in the US finishes their day, and instead of everything just stopping until tomorrow, an expert team in India picks it right up. When your US team logs back on in the morning, a whole chunk of work is already done and waiting for their review. So why India specifically? Look, this isn't about just shipping off basic data entry. We are talking about a deep pool of talent with real expertise in U.S. accounting standards. It's a workforce that's scalable, that's flexible, and that's built around structured SOP-driven workflows. And they're totally comfortable with technology, so they can plug right into your systems. Okay, that all sounds good on paper, but what does this actually mean in practice? Like, what work are we really talking about day to day? Let's get into the specifics. Just think about your typical workflow. For audit support, we're talking about all that time-consuming stuff, sampling and testing, control walkthroughs, getting the work papers documented. And for fund accounting, it's the nitty-gritty NAV calculations and reconciliations. By handing off these tasks, your senior staff in the US are suddenly freed up to focus on the things that really move the needle, like high-level client strategy and the final critical review. Of course, whenever you talk about sending work offshore, two big questions always pop up right away. Number one, what about quality control? And number two, how in the world do you keep my data secure? So let's just tackle those head on. All right, first up, the big one, quality. How can you possibly be sure that the work being done halfway around the world is going to meet your firm's standards? The answer is all about process and structure. Everything is guided by really clearly defined SOPs and checklists. The work actually goes through multiple levels of review on the offshore side before it ever even hits your desk. And here's the most important part. Your US team always does the final review. You never lose control over the final work product. Okay, the next question is a huge one, especially in this industry. Is my data actually secure? What about client confidentiality? The short answer is yes. Security is absolutely non-negotiable. Any reputable partner is going to be operating in a super secure, certified environment. We're talking strict access controls, monitored work, everything needed to make sure your firm's data is protected every step of the way. All right, one last practical question. From a workflow point of view, is this going to be a nightmare? Do we have to learn a bunch of new software and systems? No, not at all. Actually, it's the opposite. The whole process is designed to be seamless. The offshore teams adapt to your firm's way of doing things. They work right inside your existing software, your portals, your tools. So it doesn't feel like you're just handing work off to some vendor. It feels like you're just extending your own team.
So when you pull it all together, you can see this isn't just a quick fix to get through busy season. It's a real strategic shift. It's about building a firm that's more sustainable, more scalable, and yeah, more profitable for the long haul. There's this idea that really sums it up. The firms that are winning today aren't the ones just hustling harder. That old model is broken. The ones that are really thriving are the ones building smarter systems.
And that's what this is all about. This approach helps you close that talent gap we talked about. It reduces the bottlenecks that slow everything down, and it helps stabilize workloads for your team. And you do all of that without ever sacrificing control.
So that really just leaves one last question for you to think about. When you look at all the pressure your firm is under, are you ready to work smarter? Thanks for tuning in.